Light of the Jedi recently came out, so I decided to give it a read. It came out January 5th. This video should be out like January 6th, January 7th-ish. I did read it all in one day, so if like my breakdown of the parts aren't the best, I apologize, but this video is like fresh after like reading the book. Um, so yeah, let's just kind of continue. The book is broken into three parts. Part one contains 18 chapters and the interlude about the Nihil. Part one introduces you to many characters within the Republic and the Jedi. They are dealing with trying to save the Hetzal system from anomalies coming to the planet at light speed, possibly destroying the planet. Many characters are introduced to us, many Jedi within the characters introduced. Avar Chris, a Jedi Master who has a strong connection with the Force, having the ability to create a network between all Jedi in which the Jedi can use her as a beacon to sense each other while in like the Hetzal system. Master Chris is probably the most important character of part one. Other Jedi are involved, but she's definitely the focal point. But the other Jedi involved are Bell, a Padawan, and his master Loden Greatstorm. We see them save innocents from marauders and help the innocents get off planet. There was a wealthy family that was kind of hiding a ship, and the family was trying to keep them from for the innocents from being able to get on the ship. Loden actually shows a great force ability by having his Padawan belt protect him while he meditates, and he just picks marauders out of the sky. Like he sits down, meditates, closes his eyes, and he senses the evil within the innocent, and he kind of just he propels them out of the crowd and plunges them into the air. So, that's there's like different stories of part one, and then there's other sections where you have other Jedi who have stories within the first part, like TMA, I think it's Tiame, Mikkel, Nib Asik, and the Wookiee Padawan, who's actually I've already seen on Twitter getting some popularity. Buri Yaga Agaburi. Actually, Buri Yaga is just isn't just a Wookiee. He plays a significant part in realizing that the objects coming towards the Hetzal system, which you later find out are parts of the Legacy Run, actually contain people. He senses the people's fear, helping all the Jedi realize, that living beings are within the objects. For right now, I'll call it Tiamat's group. They also contain Jedi, the Ardens, a husband and wife. They're contracted by the Republic. They actually come up with the idea to use mag clamps to save the object coming toward the fruited moon, and it actually becomes a regular thing throughout the book. Like it becomes like something they thought impossible becomes almost routine. Um, but yeah, throughout the rescue, there's just rescue missions. There's non-Jedi and Jedi involved in the missions. The non-Jedi one that is worth mentioning is Captain Bright and his group, Inaman and Peoples. They go to save people out in an array. Captain Bright's sacrificing himself, saying the words, "We are all the Republic," which is actually a line or 5 words that are throughout the whole book. That whole saying "We are the Republic" is big throughout the whole book. But yeah, Captain Bright sacrifices himself, and then the big mission in part one is Master Chris has found out that there's a container of Tabana, or I don't know really how to properly pronounce it. I'm gonna say Tabana gas headed to her star, which is gonna destroy the whole Hetzal system. And throughout the whole book or throughout part one, they don't really mention it, but you get the feeling that the objects hailing towards the Hetzal system are the Legacy Run. You do find out in the other parts that is the case. The Legacy Run was introduced in the first chapter of the book, and that's why there's people within the objects. It was the people that, or it was the cargo that the Legacy Run was withholding was people trying to bring them to the outer rim for their lives or to live better lives. Chris actually has a plan. She uses her system that connects all the Jedi and calls for help to move the Tabana from hitting the star, using all their will force to change the trajectory. All the Jedi stay. None of them leave, even though Chris kind of gives them the out to leave. She gives them the chance. They all stay. And in the first attempt, it's very unsuccessful. The Tabana only has moved a little bit, but in the process, the planet would still be destroyed. And also, while they were trying to, forcefully move this object, the some Jedi had fallen. So now they go and try it again, and obviously with the Jedi remaining, it's going to be a strain. but this time Jedi from all over the galaxy. They're feeling the connection in the system that Master Chris has made, and they're in the book they even mention Yoda. But and this time they actually move the Tabana out of the Hetzal system, and the whole galaxy has seen this because a young technician, he's very intelligent. He was going to send this message to the Chancellor, but after seeing, his planet possibly being destroyed, he wanted it to be broadcast everywhere, and he broadcasted it to the whole galaxy for the whole galaxy to see. And in the part one, this is a great, triumph for the Republic and for the Jedi and for the people trying to save Hetzal. But the fragment actually, it misses. Or it misses, but then other fragments, a part of the Legacy run, they hit. I think it's Abdalis, and 20 more people are killed. So then at the end of the first part, we get the Nihil interlude, and we get a description of the Nihil, similar to what the authors had given us in the launch event. They're raiders, thieves, and murderers. We get an example of what they're capable of. They're destroying ships without mercy, and basically we get like a little bit of, background of what they can do. The first part was really good, showing the Jedi at their height and showing the abilities they possess. The Republic is also shown to be at its height. Some abilities while reading were very impressive, especially Chris, and she has like a Professor X-like connection with all the Jedi. She sees the Jedi as music and has or not the Jedi. She sees the Force as music and as like a melody, and she kind of is like say it kind of shows the different perspectives of how all the Jedi see the Force differently. Some people might see it as a sea, some people might see it as like their home world. So it was actually good about how diverse it was. Part one was really good introduction to the new era, without giving the reader like too much to go on. We got like a little bit to push forward in the story. Now part two holds 17 chapters and an interlude including the council. During this time period, paths is the name of part two, which is actually the main point of these chapters. The paths are routes given to the Eye of the Nihil, um, Marshawn Rowe, from Mari Santeca, a woman whose family has become rich off of hyperspace, but she happens to be centuries old. Mari is like this, she's a very frail old lady that Marshy Rowe and his father have kept alive so they can get these paths through hyperspace. Um, Mari gives Marshall Monroe the path to travel throughout the galaxy. He then gives them to the Tempest, which are the Tempest runners, Pan, Ida, Laura D, and Kassev, who are the bosses that run their own Tempest of groups that consist of Strikes, Clouds, and the toppest and the closest to them, which is the Storm. The Eye just gets a pay cut out of all the raids in the raids because of the rule of three. For giving the paths, the rule of three makes it so the Eye has two votes with voting on the raids, so it always goes the Eye's way. It's like the system Marshall Monroe's dad set up. Now, paths also, they also refer to the Nihil and Jedi / Republic paths intersecting. Starting with the fact that a Nihil ship caused the run to be destroyed in the first place, and and for the pieces to go throughout all the Hessel system. Also, the paths caused many times as Kavantar, who is the technician or is the bright young man who I mentioned in the first part that broadcasted everything. Um, he came up with a plan with 57k droids or 57,000 droids, and he uses 57,000 droids and two Jedi of Arcris and her friend Elzar Mann, and they are able to cool down the droids that are overheating, and with that they can track down the emergencies, which the Nihil can do too with the power of Mari Santeca. The two groups end up fighting in space, trying to recover a flight recorder, which results in the Jedi TMI's death. She's from earlier in the novel. Now, the Jedi know of the Nihil from this encounter and from a dumb mistake by Kassev, who unsuccessfully bribed the planet, making the Republic aware of his presence as well. So, lastly, there's a group of Jedi in part two: the Bell, Loden, Great Storm, Indira, and Porter Ingo, who's a very old Jedi who's kind of settled down, but was once known as a great warrior. They're on the planet Alfrona, where there's an outpost for Jedi, but it's also a group where Nihil from Dee's temple or Tempest are trying to kidnap a family, making the Nihil versus Jedi, you know, they're that whole fight. There's multiple feats of of the Force that are performed. Most impressive Porter's actions while fighting the Nihil. He jumps in the sky throwing a lightsaber. While in the air, he throws a lightsaber and it strikes a Nihil. But he kind of like throughout the book, you kind of see he doesn't want to be that person anymore that fights. Um, the paths basically just keep crossing, and at the part two, it's kind of like just coincidence. It feels like a a random mistake that causes the two ships to be in the same hyperspace, that causes the run to be destroyed, and bad execution from two of the Tempest runners, and the groups colliding. Also in the groups just colliding. It all seemed like it was just big coincidences, but it really wasn't. I'll explain when I get to chapter three. Also the interlude was about the council, and it was about Jedi Molly, she's going to be the leader of the Jedi at Starlight Beacon, which is this big place for the Republic. She gets the final vote and votes to go after and end the Nihil. Now, from this part, I was kind of like a lot of times I was like writing stuff that like intrigued me while I was reading. And Santeca is mentioned, which is obviously a connection to Lord Santeca from the sequel trilogy. Yoda is mentioned once again many times actually. The Great Sith War is also mentioned. Lastly, before I forget it, the Nihil structure is changing throughout the part two. We get to see how it's like the Eye and the Tempest Runners are just two different things. The Eye gives the Tempest Runners the paths, and then the Tempest Runners run, how they see fit. Things are changing in this chapter. The Eye kind of begins to take a little bit more control, and the structure starts to like shift, right? They start to take orders from the Eye, which wasn't the way it was before. Now, part three was actually one of the most interesting chapters, and or not chapters, most interesting parts. It was, in my opinion, the best part of the whole novel. I think the first two parts were really good at introducing the story and kind of getting us familiar with both, you know, the Jedi and with the Nihil. I don't want to say antagonist and protagonist because Star Wars is usually a story about, you get to pick what side is truthfully right. But, you know, part three contains the final chapters and the epilogue. Part three's most important character though is Marshon Rowe. Before he was just the Eye of the Nihil. At the end of the book, he's the leader of the Nihil. He, within part three, changed the entire structure of the Nihil. All the conflicts and paths crossing, even the Legacy Run being destroyed, was orchestrated by him. This whole novel and the events of where the Nihil and the Jedi's, paths collided, it was all planned by him. Um, you know, the battle of Kur, a battle between Republic and their allies in the Jedi versus Kassev, that ends Kassev dying to I think it's an Iridu governor. That was the planet that he tried to bribe, and the and Kassev's Tempest being destroyed was planned by it's Marshon Rowe, but I'm gonna call him Rowe from here on out because that's what I was calling him when I was reading. Rowe, sacrifices Kassev's Tempest as he put it. Then with D, who is the other Tempest boss, and the flight recorder, when he sends her to go get the flight recorder, he planned that as well. He wanted these schematics, her ship name, and everything, he wanted that to be captured by the Republic, so he could use it against her. So she's gonna go run away and be separate. Um, Also, as well as sending D to Alfrana to deal with the kidnapping of the family. The family didn't matter, even though three-fourths of the members were saved by the Jedi. Ro just wanted the chance for Dee and her Tempest to capture a Jedi. He set both of them up. He set both those Tempest runners up. The whole book is Ro's just big plan. He uses Mar Santeca, her past, and his leverage with the Nihil to rule the Nihil. Basically, he does this by setting them up, Kassev and D, and also having spies, which you find out kind of throughout the book. It's trickled in that he has spies of the Republic. Now, at the end of the novel, Starlight Beacon is opened up. It's exactly what the authors said it would be. It's a place for the Republic and Jedi. Welcome to all citizens of the Republic, because we are all the Republic is like the big saying. Um, the Chancellor she's pressed about opening the Starlight Beacon throughout the whole book. Now with the passing of the Master Molly, or I think I'm pronouncing her name wrong, but she dies in the Battle of Kur. Avar Kriss is the leader now of the Jedi at Starlight Beacon. with the passing of Jedi Jorah Mali, that's her name, in the battle of Kerr. I I already said that. I just wanted to make sure I was getting the name right. It's Jorah Mali, Battle of Kerr. On top of this, though, the Nihil is no longer three separate groups ruled by, the Tempest Runners. They're now one group. Ro has made it so it's one group. Also, Ro has Loden, Greystorm captive. For what? It wasn't said specifically. It was just said he had Loden captain for his goal, and when Loden tried to make it so Ro would free him. Ro didn't feel the effects of the Jedi mind trick, claiming his family had already told him about the Jedi and what they can do. The novel ends kind of there with, Ro is the top of the Nihil. He has Loden captive. The Starlight beacon is all being opened. So that's kind of the way it ends. But more specifically, the way it ends, the novel ends with Elzar Mann, the friend of our Chris. After he has his last conversation with her, Man is having visions of Jedi dying to a purple lightsaber. One possibly being by Ro, as he ignites one in part three when talking to Loden. In my opinion, overall the book was very satisfying to read. A very good intro to this new era in Star Wars. Many new things were introduced as well, like vectors. They were Jedi ships that can be controlled through the Force also, and also the lightsabers are used as kind of like a key, so only the Jedi could use it. Um, there was connections to other eras of Star Wars. Santeca, as one of the Santeca, the name Santeca, that family, they became rich off hyperspace. But we know a totally different. We know Lord Santeca. He's a part of the sequel trilogy, and we know nothing about his lineage. So that gives kind of his family some background. The Great Sith War is also mentioned. Yoda, an obvious one, he's always mentioned. He's actually mentioned as being a great teacher in this generation as well. Just always with his Padawans, always teaching. Um, yeah, the Yoda was definitely an obvious one to call back. Talking about now, actually going to the story or the ruler story, the Nihil as a whole group of villains, they feel real from the leaders to what the leaders do, leaders drug abuse to the jealousy of one. You know, it was kind of like they were great villains or great, if we want to call them the dark side for this book that we've seen. We've seen a little of them, but all get to see a lot of them, but also we get to see a little because of the dynamic change. The diversity of Jedi was also one of the best parts. No Jedi was alike. No Jedi's relationship to the Force was alike. They made it very clear that every Jedi saw the Force or felt the Force differently. And I feel like that's important when you make that to making characters and for people to like characters. They're all very different, which in storytelling is in my opinion a good thing. Like Bell and Loden's relationship is much different from like an Anakin and Ahsoka. They were very, close, and Loden had his way of training and it helped Bell, and Bell saw his master's way of training one way and the council saw it another way, so those relationships were really cool. Also with Roe or Martian Roe, while reading, the curve was his writing or his story was very well developed throughout the whole book. His goal isn't made clear until the end, which actually gave the reader, more of a good twist. I definitely think we're going to be seeing more of him, and how he proceeds is also going to be interesting for the fact of, we know how he got to where he's at, being the leader of the Nihil, but we don't know how he's going to proceed, which I think is interesting. I also like the fact that it's hinted that he has a bit of force sensitive, or he's force sensitive in the way he's able to wield a lightsaber. He kind of swings it around as he talks to Dee and tells her what exactly he's done to every Nihil. But it's not definitive. It's not like a definitive, oh, he is force sensitive or he's not. Overall, though, it was a very good intro to the High Republic. It was very intriguing from start to finish. I read it all in basically one day, or not. I basically read it in one sitting. I literally couldn't leave my computer monitor where I had it. Yeah, it was very intriguing from start to finish. I can't wait to read the other pieces of the content that are involved with the High Republic. I'm definitely gonna do another video like this with the Test of Courage. But that's it for this video, man. That was basically my breakdown and review. If I had to give it a scale out of 10, I would probably say a 8.5 out of 10, 9, 8.5, 9 out of 10. It was a very good book in my opinion. I think there's so much more you could do with it. It kind of felt when I was reading, like it could have been like a show or a movie. The way like the sequences were like written and the way the characters were written and the way the kind of the plot was, especially of Marshawn Rowe. He's a very interesting character that I think, the more details we get about him, either the more we're gonna like him or we're gonna dislike him for his actions. But yeah, man, I'm gonna have to say it was probably a 9.5 out of 10. It was a very good book in my opinion. A very good way to start off, this whole era of Star Wars with, we got a lot of information, but also we didn't like there's different ways the story can go. We don't know how the Nihil are going to proceed. We don't know how the Jedi are going to proceed. We know that the Jedi presume that they're still at peace and they're not at war, but the way, Marshall Rose is, seeing things, he wants to go to war with the Republic. He uses what the Republic did to Kassev and everybody as a way to plot them against the Republic. So I think on one hand, where the Jedi think, or where the Republic thinks they don't have a war on their hands, Marshall Rowe thinks they do. He wants to fight, and he wants to, take the Nihil galaxy wide, which he already says he does at the end of the book. He's a very good, interesting character. So we might see, a side of the Republic and Jedi and allies versus the Nihil, which could be this, become this powerful group out of nowhere, almost from the Outer Rim. I'm very interested, like I said, to read the rest of the content that is involved with the High Republic. I don't want to keep talking about like my thoughts and everything because this video could end up being like an hour long, and I think this is already going to be one of the longest videos I've ever made. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video, man. My next video should be a test of courage review. If it's not, then I don't really know what the next video is gonna be. But yo, I appreciate everyone who's watching. I appreciate everyone, you know, who stayed this long to the video. Like, comment, subscribe. Please subscribe, guys. I looked at my analytics the other day. 96% of the people who watch my videos aren't subbed. Yo, I would appreciate it if you guys would just sub up. But I'm out.